Well, first of all, this is a great day. It's a great day for Springfield. It's a great day for the community. It's a great day for the city. I think for those of us that have grown up in Springfield, knowing the Kavanaugh Building, how long it's been in the family, how long it's been vacant, for those of us that remember going to Commerce when the credit union was right next door, I'm showing my age, but we used to walk up and down the street all the time and be able to see some activity, some real positive activity at a time when the city needs it, the community needs it. It's a great day. So with that, let's give a hand for the effort of the Renaissance Development Group. And before I even talk about that, I couldn't be prouder than having Donald Mitchell, a community guy that grew up here, throughout the city, fulfilling his dream. And I think that's important because it sends a very positive message to the inclusiveness and the equity and the effort that's going on in the city and this development industry in general. So I think that is to be applauded. With that being said, I'm just going to give you a little overview of the project, and then I'm going to invite up some of the speakers. Now, when you reach a certain age, you got to put your glasses on, so I have to multitask. So, this is an $8.5 million project designed to compromise 35 one- and two-bedroom affordable housing units and also commercial space. The project is estimated at $8.5 million. It's going to provide 29 construction jobs and 19 permanent part-time jobs as well, and will exceed the city's WMBE participation goal. Now that's important. That's real important because, you know, you got a guy from the community, representing the community, also providing jobs too. So that's great. That's great as well. So rather than have me talk, I think it's important that we introduce some of our speakers. It's some that you know, and I'll introduce them in order. Bob McCarroll from the Springfield Preservation Committee. We have Jeff Sullivan, Mayor Sarno, and Donald Mitchell. So first to speak will be Bob Mitchell. I'm sorry, not Bob McCarroll from the Springfield Community Preservation Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the chair of the Springfield Community Preservation Committee. CPA money, Community Preservation Act money, is a small partner in this exciting project. For those of you that aren't familiar with CPA, it's a statewide program that municipalities can join if their voters approve it. And our voters approved it in 2016. It puts a little surcharge on everyone's taxes that goes into a pot that's locally controlled, that's contributed to by the state, and that can only be used for historic resources, community housing, open space, and recreation. So we are happy to have recommended to the City Council, and they approved, funds to be part of this project. It's what I call a twofer. It deals with two of the issues that we can help with. One is affordable housing, and secondly is preserving a building that's been a landmark on State Street for more than a century and sadly has been dormant for quite some time. So I look forward to seeing the redevelopment of this building and congratulate the developers on it.
Now I'd like to bring up a gentleman that we all know. We at Springfield NHS know him very well, Jeff Sullivan.
I know. Thanks, Leo. So I'll be very brief. I think this is a story about persistence and drive. And the reason why New Valley Bank is proud to be associated with this project is really because we have watched Donald and his team just navigate countless roadblocks and break through barriers and make this project happen. And it's taken a long time, and I can only hope that once it's done. By the way, the hard work's not just starting, Donald. It hasn't finished yet. But once it's done, that the couple of dozen residents that are going to be given housing as a result of this project, that they show the same sort of drive and persistence to be able to get their lives turned around. And as Bob said, talk about double bottom line, triple bottom line, quadruple bottom line. This is a win-win for not only for our team here at the bank and for Donald's team, but for the residents that'll be in the housing. So thank you very much.
When you're a big guy and you got to get up and down, I think I might end up standing up. So the next person I'm going to introduce really doesn't need an introduction. We all know him. He gets around. Every place you look, he's there. And we thank you for being here. Mayor Son, I'm hoping you'll be longer so I'll be able to sit. But Mayor Dominic Sarno, thank you. Thank you.
Leo, I'm going to speak for about 38 minutes, so you can sit as long as you want there. To my colleagues in government, Senator Gomez and City Councilwoman Cateri Walsh, to my former colleagues and friends on the City Council, Carol, who was calling, good to see you, and Libby, and my old running mate. Where's Corky Lewis? Cornell there, my running mate in Mary Hurley's office with Timmy Sheehan and great hoopster, classical. We were commerce here. But I also want to bring up my Chief Development Officer, Tim Sheen, and my Housing Director, Jerry McCaffrey, who played pivotal roles in this development. And again, my administration puts their money where their mouth is. $2.1 million of ARPA funds plus $700,000 of housing funds through an ARPA subsidiary that we have formed to help out Donald Mitchell and D&M Renaissance Development on this historic building. I want to thank Bob McCarroll. The CPA has been very, very beneficial to the city. Bob, let's give Bob a big round of applause. Jeff Sullivan and attorney Frank Fitzgerald, New Bank Valley, they've been fantastic, taking a leap of faith on these developments all across the city, especially small business. Jeff, thank you very, very much. Leo, of course, for what you do with the housing, and Don Mitchell, for sticking your neck out there, and I'm glad your family's doing well, and your daughter, the hoopster, playing some good ball there too. When you look upon this building, Kavanaugh, it's in the shadow of my alma mater, the High School of Commerce. Kavanaugh Building, Irish immigrants, dating back to 1873. Always was business oriented here. Then Kavanaugh Furniture, which I bought some furniture from Kavanaugh here. But for a number of years, it has been vacant and decrepit. And now with this development, which is going to have 35 1- and 2-bedroom housing workforce development units, plus 10,000 square feet of commercial development here, adds vibrancy to our State Street corridor. This goes on top of my administration's continued housing efforts, and we will continue to work with Governor Healy, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, and we'll continue to work with our state delegation on this funding or pot of money it's putting together to bring it here to help developers cover that delta on it. So we're going to continue to press each and every one of them. But when you look upon it, 31 Elm Street, Court Square, said it never would be done. It's done. Go to our South End, Gemini site, home ownership that's being done there. Go a little further up on State Street, the old Firestone Knox building, that is being completed. Look at the Indian Motorcycle building, all redone. The old school department and the building across from Health and Human Services, that'll soon be workforce development housing. Besides the market rate housing we're doing, and the other entities of Woolley Overland, historic preservation, which historic preservation is occurring here, Silver Brick, it's about 600 to 800 housing units just in Springfield we're going to have coming online within the next 2 or 3 years. Housing, every other word out of Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll's mouth is housing, housing, housing. There is a crisis, not only in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but all across the country. So Springfield, my administration will continue to put their money where their mouth is. We look for other entities and other governmental entities to step forward on that to help developers. You cannot ask a developer to come in and say, geez, can you do it for me, and lose money. So we have to cover that gap. But we're very proud of this, and there's much more to come. And I really want to commend my Chief Development Officer, Tim Sheehan, and my Housing Director, Jerry McCafferty. As Don can tell you, there's always hurdles that we have to leap over, whether small or large. But this is important. And it also spurs other investment up and down the State Street corridor, because they're going to say, why is Renaissance Development doing it here? And we're going to continue to be business friendly. Now, I might not be able to give you, Leo, you've been able to sit for a while. I might not be able to give you 10 out of 10 things, but maybe we can give you 6 or 7 or 8 out of 10 things to make the deal happen. And we're going to continue to do that. But I really want to commend each and every one of the speakers that are here. You stepped forward, you stuck your neck out, and we're going to continue to stand by you on that. So congratulations. We look forward to another ribbon cutting, and the tradition and legacy of helping people is going to continue on here. So congratulations, and continued success, and good health to each and every one of you. Thank you very much. You got your relaxation.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to have you come up again because I went out of order, so we're going to have to hear the whole thing again. But I would like to bring up Donald Mitchell. You know, sometimes you come to these things, and when you live in the community, it touches your heart, especially when you see someone that you know. And he's been working tirelessly. And I'm just glad, we're glad that this day is yours. So, after Donald Mitchell, Mr. Mayor, if you want to come up again and say the same thing, it would really be appreciated. But I'm quite sure we would love to hear it twice. Donald, come on up.
Oh, good morning, everyone. I should have bought my cheaters and I didn't, so I'll get through it. Thanks, Leo.
You want to try these?
No, I'm good, Bob. I'm gonna make it work. I'll try to be as brief as I can. I want to thank all of the funders to my right, because without them, this project isn't possible. But there's also some funders that are in the crowd that didn't write the largest check, but their check was it was instrumental and it was helpful. So I just like to acknowledge a few folks in the audience. One is my good friend Brandon from the Life Initiative, and the president from the Life Initiative, Kristen. I'd like to acknowledge Monica from Mass Housing. Thank you for all your help. And obviously the folks from the city of Springfield, Tim Sheehan and Jerry McCafferty. Now, before I go any further, I really think it's important to recognize a friend and a former colleague who was called before his time, and that person's Jimmy Aslin. Jimmy Aslin and I worked together for many years. He was helping me just like in the instrumental stages of trying to get this project going, and in fact, he was the one responsible for me even purchasing the building. We were looking at another site. Jimmy reached out to the owners. He said, hey, I think this could really be the project. He initiated the call. We met with the owners, we negotiated, and we got the building. So again, he's not here with us in the live flesh, but I believe he's here with us in spirit. And I just want to acknowledge his, his contribution to this project. Now, 3 other people who are just as important to the project that really helped see this through. I don't think he's here right now, but Will Morgan. Will Morgan's with CDAC. And so early on in this process, as I think the mayor alluded to, and maybe, and Timmy and I kind of talked offline about it, we were just trying to build our development stack. And it was difficult. And so Will was a guy who reached out to us, worked with us, and he helped us identify the potential funding source that was really the tipping point for us, which was the MASH ARP funding. So that is the Massachusetts Alliance for Supportive Housing. So he pointed us in that direction. He got the ball going, so I want to give Will and CDAC a shout out, although they're not here right now. Then once that happened, you know, we got some momentum going. Then enter Tim Sheehan, who is the Chief Development Officer. Now, we've been working with Tim, you know, from the inception of the project, but, you know, once you start to build your development stack, lenders particularly like to see you have stable tenants in your building to make the numbers work. And so Tim and his team was very helpful in pointing us in the right direction of one of our future partners who happened to be looking for some affordable housing units and some potential commercial space for their program participants. And so that helped us align with Mass Housing. And so Tim, again, I just want to thank you and your team for pointing us in the right direction and making that connection. And last but not least, we then started to move down the road. We're picking up some traction. We got a commercial tenant, solid tenants. Now we're just trying to figure out the composition for the tenants that's going to reside on the second floor. We got some funding from the city that's been absolutely tremendous, but with that funding, there's all these requirements and nuances that you need to meet and check off all these boxes. So enter Jerry McCafferty. Working with Jerry on it, Jerry's like, hey, we got to do this. This is going to line up, and it just became a overwhelming task for someone like me. So Jerry pointed us in the direction of our next best friend, Monica, from Mass Housing, who I will say quickly jumped and was able to execute and get us a development consultant, which is the Cambridge Housing Authority, to work through all those logistics and to be able to help us find the right tenant mix. So thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Monica. So, folks, as I said, this has been a long journey. There's several people here that I would also like to thank, but I'd be up here all day. But I certainly want to acknowledge and thank John Cook, the president of STIC, who's been a tremendous partner. We look forward to continuing the work. And last but not least, my guy, my mentor, Tom Hinchin from Pearson Systems. He's been a guy who's been with me like from the beginning of time and always kicking me in the behind and telling me we need to move faster and move smarter. So I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you. And then last, I just want to again thank the mayor because this project has been, and I think the mayor said it, it's been a long process to get to this point, and this is just the starting point. But I will say that, Mayor, I just want to commend you and your team. The commitment and the priority that they've given our project makes me feel great. We've hit a couple of hurdles, some barriers, but you know, to his credit, like their team pulled through. We had some issues with the building department. They made it go very smooth and seamless. We had some other issues with the parks department. And then working with Jerry and Tim has been a joy. So those guys have been just more than helpful to us, and I think it's only right to acknowledge, all the work and all their participation in the project. So at this point, I think I want to close out and ask ask the three gentlemen here to my right to grab a shovel, or maybe Joe, if you can pass them to them. We're going to do this ceremonial tossing of some dirt to make this thing official. I also like to ask some of our partners to come up. I'd like Monica to come up. I like our folks from the Life Initiative to come up.
See, a baker's always in a hurry. On three, we're going to toss and look up. 1, 2, 3. All right.